the human Jesus.
In the heat of a Nazareth summer, Mary, her deep brown skin luminous in the sun, returned from her cousin Elizabeth's home with news that no one could ignore. She was carrying a child, though her betrothal to Joseph, a fair-skinned carpenter with a reserved demeanor, had not yet been formalized. This was what led her to Elizabeth's place, to confide in her and get much-needed elderly advice. Whispers filled the village like a rising wind, their meaning sharp and cutting. Joseph, a practical man, struggled to reconcile her story of angelic visitations and divine conception with the ache of human doubt. Though his dreams reassured him, filling his mind with celestial words of peace, the questions lingered. Could this child truly be his to raise? Why me? How? He would often ask himself. His heart wrestled with his pride, and though he chose to marry Mary, a rift formed between them. When Jesus was born, dark-skinned like his mother, the couple's joy was complicated by the strain of their circumstances. Joseph's cautious tenderness toward the child, coupled with the judgmental gaze of neighbors, created an unspoken wall between him and Mary. The couple's love for one another was evident but tested. As Jesus grew, his human frailty became clear. He was no more divine in appearance than the other children in Nazareth. The political upheaval of Herod's wrath forced the young family into exile in Egypt, where they struggled as refugees, blending into the crowded streets of a foreign land. Joseph worked long hours, and Mary bore the brunt of raising Jesus, her devotion unwavering even as Joseph's care seemed distant. When they returned to Nazareth, siblings came into the picture. The younger children, lighter-skinned like their father, seemed to draw Joseph's pride more easily. Jesus, the firstborn, carried the shadow of his unspoken origins. He felt it in the way his father hesitated, in the way his siblings received laughter that he did not. It wasn't cruelty, but it was a gap that grew. At 12, Jesus had become quiet and introspective, often retreating to the synagogue to learn from the rabbis. He has found solace in the scripture. When my father and my mother forsake me, then the Lord will take me up. During the family's pilgrimage to Jerusalem for Passover, Jesus became lost, not in the physical sense, but in a world of questions and answers that gripped his young mind. Mary and Joseph, preoccupied with the other children and the demands of travel, didn't notice his absence for 3 days. When they found him in the temple, he was calmly sitting among the teachers, engaging them with wisdom that startled his parents. Mary's worries spilled into anger, but Joseph's silence was heavier. "Why would you do this to us?" Mary demanded, her voice trembling with both relief and frustration. "Didn't you know I must be in my Father's house?" Jesus asked, his tone not defiant but distant. Those words pierced Joseph's heart. He could feel the guilt of not living up to his fatherly role. It was a common saying in their community that their God was father to the fatherless. That distance persisted as Jesus grew older. Though he obeyed his parents, his attachment to the family was tenuous. The warmth of his mother's love and the shadow of his father's doubt shaped him into someone who sought connection elsewhere. Through prayer, through understanding, through a growing awareness of a purpose larger than himself. He must seek for guidance, strength, and succor from a father other than his earthly father, a father who is in heaven. The boy from Nazareth was no superhuman. He was a child who bore the weight of human doubts and familial fractures, navigating a path filled with quiet resilience. His humanity, rich and layered, would become the cornerstone of his eventual calling.
End of part 1.